All right, and welcome in to the green room, a vacation edition of the green room. As you can see by my beautiful background, I am in the upstate New York area. I am not exactly sure where I am. I know that I went on the Hudson stop and I drove somewhere, but we're living the life here. Today's guest is a good friend of mine. We've met just like most of the guests and I have met through Good Looks Collective, as that just seems to be the way that we meet all people. Today's guest is Ben Marienthal. Ben, how's it going, man?
Hey, Aaron, how you doing?
I'm
Thanks for
doing
having me.
I'm doing all right, man. It's a pleasure to have you as we navigate. We do all of our interviews. We've got the tech stack all set up. We're gonna be. You'll be joining me live on the Instagram Lunar Lounge chat. So just check in on the Lunar Lounge chat and ask to join, and then we'll be live there. We're live
All
here on
right.
YouTube, and
You want me
hopefully,
to do that now?
yeah, do that now if you have a chance.
All right.
Hopefully, we should be all good on that tech stack. So let's see. Seeing you're joining now, and there it is. Well done.
All right.
It's waiting for you. Nice. We did it. Look at that.
Hey.
Hey, all right, let me just
Now I
pin
just
this
have to
down.
decide what I want to look at more.
uh, Honestly, it's totally your call. Let me just write this last little thing right here. HQ link in bio. Dude, I haven't. I mean, obviously we caught up right before this, but other than that, I haven't talked to you in a long time because I feel like our whole shtick was just running into each other in live events. What the heck have you been up to?
Yeah, man. I know. I miss those live events a lot.
Yeah,
Um,
remember
but
way
it's
back
good.
when.
Yeah, it feels like years ago, but I'm glad we get to do stuff like this. So it's cool. But yeah, man, I recently got back to New York. I was home in Chicago with my parents for the past 3 months, which was a lot longer than I intended. I thought I was going to be there for like 2 weeks, and I was there for 3 months, which was really nice. Had a lot of pluses, and obviously its challenges living with parents.
Sure.
But yeah, I'm back here now. I got a new apartment in Greenpoint, Brooklyn, and it's honestly been like really refreshing to be back here.
So are you, I mean, something that I feel like is in the New York music industry, it's like you're either a Brooklyn resident or you're a Manhattan resident. Do you consider like because Warner is in Manhattan now?
Now, Warner's office is at the top of Times Square, so it's
Yes,
in
I
the thick
thought.
of it.
So what do you consider
Uh,
yourself, a Brooklyn person or a Manhattan person?
well, now I'm a Brooklyn. I'm all Brooklyn, but I lived in Manhattan my first 2 years in New York, um, and I loved that because it was like just I mean it was the best place to be able to bounce around and not really be home much, going out to shows, popping down to the Lower East Side, going straight from the office. So Manhattan was awesome for that, but I can already tell that I'm very, very happy to be in more of the Brooklyn energy where it's a little bit slower and you can like you kind of feel like you're not so much in the craziness of New York.
Dude, I feel like for me that is something that I've been debating for a very long time. What do I want to do? Do I want to do, like, when this lease is over, do I want to stay in New York? Do I want to go Brooklyn? What do I want to do? And I mean, you're making a pretty good case for me to go Brooklyn.
I mean I gotta be honest, if you're deciding between the two right now, like Brooklyn's 100% the move because just more space and there's no reason not if you're deciding I have to like full hardly say Brooklyn.
We will have to have a very very
Yeah.
important conversation offline,
Yeah.
because I'm intrigued. So,
Okay.
but nonetheless, we have an actual interview to discuss that's not just my personal living habits. And we've got lots of stuff to discuss because for those who don't know, Ben Marienthal is actually a little bit of a, I mean, may I call you a Renaissance man? You've got a lot of different hats you're wearing. You're doing a lot of cool things. We talked about in our kind of pre-interview, which one do you consider yourself? So, I mean, I'm going to let you start. Well, first off, before we start that, actually, let's do the classic how we met story. We met
Hmm.
through Good Looks. Why don't you why
Yep.
don't you why don't you help me out? How exactly did we meet?
Yeah, I mean, I remember it very vividly. It was right when I started to get introduced to the whole Good Looks fam. Actually, I had been introduced, but it was right when I started working for them officially. It was like the same week that I officially became the marketing director, and they had a music industry mixer in Chelsea, which kind of a weird place for a or like
I kind of
I feel
love
like
it.
I don't.
I kind of love
Yeah,
that.
like I feel like I don't go to many like industry mixers in Chelsea, but
Hey guys, wear your all black to the Chelsea High Line, please.
yeah, exactly. But it was cool. There was vinyls. I think it was like a vinyl exchange, and there was like really cool drinks, and I was just there like meeting honestly the people who I was gonna work with because I had hardly met them yet. And then we connected, and I think we just had a few drinks there, and then from there it was just seeing you at every single Good Look show, and and we stayed connected that way. So,
Yeah,
like you said, pretty classic industry meetup. It's like textbook.
pretty classic New York industry good looks meetup, I would say, to be very specific.
Yeah,
But yeah, pretty fun time. And then I was saying we ran into each other a bunch in green room events, and I can't even place which one was which because at this point it's been dozens. But I felt like I just kept seeing you over and over again to the point where we were like, all right, like clearly there's we're running in the same space. And then you threw that fire. So I got to tell you, my friend Ben, who a different Ben, joined me that evening. Maybe he's tuned in tonight. He
Angus.
actually, yeah, exactly. Yes, Ben
Yeah,
Pincus. He is obsessed with you now because he had the greatest time that evening. Our whole, he and I had a pact that we would be more social together, and then coronavirus happened, so that kind of got screwed. But before that
right.
happened, we went to this amazing event by you. Incredible food, incredible music, incredible drinks, incredible people. Maybe that could be the start off to the introduction to what you do in that realm.
Yeah. Well, so first I'll say Ben actually we stayed in touch, and he came and he helped out at like two dinner parties after that.
Hell yeah.
So he's the homie. That was awesome. But yeah, so that was one of the dinner party series that I had going with Mikasa Studios. Mikasa Studios is a production studio and family oriented collective uh, community space in Brooklyn. Um, and my friend Dave, I was friends with David Rojas, who's the owner of it. And the reason why I got into it with him is because outside of my full time jobs that I've had in the music industry, since I started pursuing it in New York, I've also had my kind of side hustle alter ego where I do cause driven events. Um, and that is Benny Presents. So, cause driven events where I partner with artists or brands who want to do album release parties, listening parties, it started off with after parties actually, and then Mikasa dinner parties were kind of my um, my take on doing events that were a little bit more intimate and not just like a big party where people are getting drunk. It
Yeah.
had only 40 people, three-course meal, acoustic set, really intimate, and just an experience that you really could like I've never seen anywhere else.
And something that was nice too about your event was you forced people to meet each other. You set it up in a way where,
There we go.
like, I had the same thing. Shout out Ian Dickerson for turning the
Yeah.
lights on. You set it up in a way where people were essentially required to meet each other and share this experience with one another. And the thing that I like the most about yours, so for me, just to give you a context, because I don't even know if I mean, I told you how much I love the event, but for me, it was you texted me, hey, like I'm doing this thing, and like the selling point for me wasn't the personally, it wasn't the causes, it was that you, my friend, were throwing something, so like that's why I came to the event. So
Hmm.
I say that because I wasn't necessarily thinking to myself, oh, this is for a good cause. It was I'm just going because Ben's throwing this. So once I got there, I was pleasantly surprised to realize, oh, this is a really cool cause. And so the whole experience itself was really good cause, really good food, being forced to meet new people. And it was kind of this like almost like summer campy-esque experience where everyone was kind of just like
Yeah.
best friends out of nowhere.
I think you were at one of the ones where we did a name game when we started it off, where you sat down and you had like a little card and
Yeah.
you had to ask. We literally the night before like sat and just wrote down like 50 random questions for each person who was coming, and then we like required you to ask somebody at your table one of the icebreakers.
Yep.
And so I think that's probably where you're getting the camp vibes from.
It was great. No, it was totally great. I totally loved it. So for to catch people up to speed here, because we've obviously talked about the different stakeholders in the music industry. I mean, I don't want to put you in a box, but Benny Presents sounds like a type of promoter. No.
Yeah, yeah. And I get that all the time, like from my college friends and from my friends here. Like a lot of the times people are like, "Are you a like party promoter?" And I have no issues with going with that. But I have always kind of felt like promoter kind of puts you in a box, and
It
it has a
and that's
stigma
exactly
against it
why I
where it's
said
like,
it.
yeah, like you're just trying to get girls into a party and there's a line out the door and you're not letting people in.
Yeah.
And that's like not at all what I do.
The unfortunate truth is that the business model, like a true business model of what a promoter is, has turned that name has turned itself into a stigma of what you just described. So
Right.
when I say promoter, it is that the quote unquote activities that you do in the business model of what you, although what I'm hearing is it's not really even a business, it's very much cause focused, but you know what I'm
Hmm.
saying. Your activities are focused on creating stakeholders from musicians to venues and artists and getting people in one group, and in that way you are promoting an event. We've got someone saying, Ashley Hill saying Ben throws amazing parties. I can attest to
That's
that. It's true.
that's my friend Ashley. She also throws amazing events as
Oh,
well.
wow. What does she throw?
Yeah, we did. So she works for a very cool company called Experience NVE, I think, and the Future Party, and
Nice.
they just they do experiences, so like experiential marketing and really cool like experiences for brands and artists and stuff.
Dude, you know
They
me.
have one
I love
tomorrow.
marketing.
So
Oh,
I'll post about it. They have a really cool one called Music. It's about music, but they have some really cool people guest features. So
yeah, Ashley,
shout out Ashley.
you're in our comments. Why don't you throw out some comments real quick and tell us
Yeah,
what's going on,
plug
and
yourself in, Ashley.
I will repeat what you're saying. But while she's typing that out, so you've got Benny Presents, you did all that really good stuff, and I think to the value that I would say you brought as opposed to perhaps other event promoters is that you created a very unique experience. Most of the promoters in the music industry that I know are who's the she says she wants to hear about you. Who are the best artists in the most fun like venue. For you, it wasn't about that. It was about I'm going to invite 30, 40 people and have those 40 people have a very, you know, connecting experience as opposed to like I'm going to have a packed club with 600 people. And I
Yeah,
think that by being able to focus on 30 people as opposed to 600, you were able to make sure that all of those 30 to 40 people had a really good time. And it also wasn't like a, go crazy and dance moment. It was a connect with other people. So I found it super interesting that you could be in the same space as the Lunar Lounge while doing largely a very different value add to people's experiences.
yeah, and that's really what it stemmed from was like I had done quite a few parties the previous year where we had like 200, 500 people come and really successful, a lot of fun. But at the end of the day, I kind of do the parties for a selfish reason, in that I just like want all of my
Yeah.
friends and everybody I love in the same place to have a good time with great music. So I was
That's what it's all
realizing
about.
that these parties, I was like running around like a maniac trying to make sure that everything was going well, because there were so many people there that I couldn't even connect and enjoy it myself. So I was
Yeah.
like, this is a really cool opportunity to do something more intimate where I can like literally just sit down and have a dinner party with 40 really cool and interesting
Yeah.
people.
And it was super great. Now, I have to ask, because obviously good looks, as a even as much of a meme as it is certainly a metric of success in terms of event promoting. How did your experience at Good Looks, if at all, like tell me about that experience, and if like what that brought to Benny Presents?
Yeah, I mean, well, Good Looks brought a lot more to me, I think, as a professional in the music industry than it did to Benny Presents. Because Good Looks Collective, I got into. So the story behind how I got into Good Looks Collective is my senior year of college. I bought a ticket with my best friend from high school to go to South by Southwest in Austin, and um, we were at Mosey. Do you know Cam's Mosey,
No
Cam and Christie's
way,
Mosey?
dude. They
Yeah,
are they are great.
dude, still like one of my
I'm so
favorite
sad.
groups.
Cam doesn't manage them anymore.
I
I'm
know,
really sad. Cam, if you're
I
watching this,
know.
please fix that.
They're making more music though, so
Thank God. I thought they were
that's
done.
exciting. Well, I mean, they came out with a song like a couple months ago. They're featured on a song, so I think it was Aiden and I can't remember the other guy's name, but I think they parted ways. I don't know. I'm
Now it's
not
just Aiden.
positive. Yeah, so I think he's like, or I don't know if it's Aiden or the other guy,
I
but
hope whatever it is, like
yeah,
Mosey, good,
so good, so good.
Mosie. Check it
Yeah,
out, dude.
run it
Check
up.
it out. You got two people right now just stopping a conversation to tell you. So like, if you're listening and you're not understanding what's happening, check
It's
them out.
yeah.
Oh Frenchie, baby.
Oh, Frenchie.
Oh my
Can't
God,
even
dude.
hit that high note.
No one can.
No. But so anyways, we're at the concert and I'm loving it. And I see this guy standing with this really cool, like hipster hat on. If my can't oh,
You're good. I
okay.
mean, it did
Um,
freeze, but you're good.
long hair, mustache, doing his thing. And it turned out to be Cameron. Um, and he was with Christy at the time, and I met Chris, and then so I actually met Christy, and she introduced me to
Yeah.
Cameron, and I was just like, hey, I'm this little senior in college trying to get into the music industry, and I have no idea what
Amazing.
I'm doing. Um, like, grabbed their number, just kind of followed up with them after South by Southwest, saying it was really nice to meet you.
This is in
At the
Texas.
Yeah, this is in
You're
Texas.
not even in New York at this point.
No, I'm still a senior at University of Connecticut at this point,
So,
and
but like what I'm picturing is like you're in Connecticut, in like you go to Connecticut, but you're in Texas, and Christy and Cam are also in Texas. No one is from Texas here.
yeah, South by Southwest.
That's amazing.
Um, so yeah, and I got their information, and my angle was that at the time I was on the concert committee for University of Connecticut, so I was kind of like, hey, we should stay in touch. If we ever do more of an indie show, I would love to try to book Mosey for it. So we stayed in touch, and nothing came of that. But then when I moved to New York, um, it happened to be that we kind of fell in the same circle through electronic music, and I like met Cam again in person just by chance, Cam and Christy,
Yeah.
and they kind of took me under their wing as a friend as first, and then introduced me to Good Looks Collective, as they do with everybody because they're amazing people. And then at the time I was working for a company called Big Management, which was a which is a really small management company for electronic artists and pop artists mostly. Um, but I wasn't really happy there. It was more of a short-term thing where I was an intern. And then I ended up getting in with Good Looks Collective. I applied for the marketing director role, got that role, and then for like 6 months, I was working two jobs at big management, and I would work there until 6 p.m. And then I would take the train into Bushwick and work at the Good Looks office until like 11:30 or midnight.
Dude, what?
Yeah, it was wild. Like
You were just grinding.
yeah, I was grinding, and I really, my goal at that time was to, um, I mean, I wanted to work full time for Good Looks, but I really wanted to be at a major label. Um, and what I was getting back to what I was saying, Good Looks kind of gave me the professional skill set in the
Yep.
music industry and understanding of like how to communicate with artists, and like the confidence that like Good Looks Collective is putting on these amazing shows with some of the best electronic artists in all of Brooklyn.
Yep.
And by working for them, it gave me the confidence to then go into my interview at Warner Music Group and say I really do have some like valid industry experience.
Yep. And you beat me to it. We're gonna get there in a second, but I want
Yeah.
to look. I love more than anything in the green room to beat a dead horse. And if this is your fifth time, sixth time tuning in, then you've heard this a million times. But across every single interview we've talked about, it is the personal skills that are what that get you to where you need to be. You know, Cam talked about email etiquette. I talked about, from my experience, I work in sales, so literally on a daily basis, I'm talking to people that have nothing to do with the music industry. Oh, Ben Pincus just joined. Ben, we were just talking about you earlier.
I hope he hears that.
Ben, go back to the YouTube video and watch again. We were giving you some nice shout outs. But and to what Ashley says, the hustle too. And it's really is, the music industry is a place where he Ben says he's honored. The music industry is a place that is about people connections, and the way that you make those connections are, you know, the connections only occur when you are like, you know, being polite and have a certain amount of etiquette, professional respect. And so, to your point, getting into Warner, which is a massive player in the music industry, you don't do that unless you position yourself as a professional. So I actually want to hear about your experience in Warner, because you do some pretty cool stuff there, and I love e-commerce. So tell me about it.
Yeah, so my current role is I'm the manager of e-commerce operations, which in layman's terms means that when you go to Cardi B's website, 21 Pilots website, or the artist under Atlantic Records, I'm in charge of making sure that the product gets up there, tracking inventory, pulling reports for sales, and communicating with the marketing team to make sure that those products get up in time for promotion. And so a lot of it is like doing merch bundles, so like hoodies with like digital albums when there's a big album release, and just yeah, getting all those products up there. So it's pretty cool to see how, for me, the coolest part about it is I work for artist services actually, which is something that like most people don't know about Warner Music Group. Is it's a division of Warner Music Group that's label agnostic, and it services all of the different labels and third party artists as well. So
Labels
um,
outside of Warner, or their labels
yeah,
inside of
yeah.
Warner?
So that's what's really
You
interesting is
work for
artists,
people outside of Warner label.
right? So
Interesting.
my roster is Atlantic Records, but then my coworker, his roster is all of our third party artists. So that's like Chelsea Cutler, Jennifer Lopez, JoJo Siwa, and
I actually don't, just I don't, so let me ask you if I understand this correctly. So
yeah, yeah,
Warner is its own label.
right.
You've probably got artists signed to a label. You've probably also got individual tracks or albums signed to a label. I imagine for the artists that are signed to the label, you probably have more attention to them. Are you saying that you have a team that focuses on artists that are signed to a completely different label, but you just provide services for them?
Yeah, exactly.
That's
So,
awesome.
yeah, it's, I mean, because Warner Music Group as a whole, it owns a lot of different entities. Um,
Is
So
Atlantic under
it's
Warner? Is that what you were saying?
yeah. So
I
Atlantic
honestly didn't
Records
know that.
is under like the big umbrella of Warner Music Group.
You
Um,
learned something new.
so yeah, and yeah, and it's really like it's been really interesting for me because like when I went in and I applied to the role at Warner Music Group and interviewed, like I didn't know what any of that meant. Like I didn't know what artist services, like I just thought I was applying to the record label. But
Yeah.
there's so many different facets of the Warner Music Group umbrella. Like there's publishing, there's licensing, there's media outlets that they own, there's Songkick that they own. Like there's all of this different stuff, and it's like to just be a part of that operation like has been an insane learning experience.
Well, I have to imagine also in the world of the C word, we will not say that word in this interview, but the monetization of these artists, merchandise has been made a priority.
Huge. Yeah.
So thinking about the fact that you add value to people outside of the Warner family is actually kind of crazy because, I mean, not that labels are ever. It's not like it's not like an Apple and a Microsoft type of deal where like it's like bloodbath enemies, but you certainly are still competing for a certain market in that
Mm-hmm.
in that space. So it's very interesting that your team is adding value to a group of people who are in other revenue streams competitors of yours.
Yeah, yeah, it is interesting. And I think it's kind of like the nature of the music industry has so many different like components where you can monetize and like you're all like they're always trying to find new ways to monetize. So I think like the way that artist services kind of came to life was it was just like we're doing merchandise for these artists and why not incorporate that into your record deal? Why not
Yeah.
do a, because before it was like when you signed to a label, like obviously this is before I was even touching the music industry, but it was like you sign to a label and you have your 180 deal, which from my understanding means that they own like a percentage of your publishing. They give you
Yeah.
an advance and then like all of
And
your
tell
recorded
tell
music.
people what that means publishing really quickly.
So publishing is basically the royalties that you get, the payments that you get from all of your recorded music.
Yep.
And so, like, when people stream your music on Spotify, you have a publishing deal, or you have a publishing deal that makes sure you get paid from your streams on Spotify. So that's like when there was a whole Taylor Swift thing where she had her issues with her catalog because of her publishing deal. Like she didn't own any of her music.
Yeah.
So that
Because the record
is
label can have a very large ownership of the music that the artist creates.
right, right. And then that's why sometimes people are like, you got to be independent and
Chance the Rapper, baby.
Chance the Rapper. But
Is he still
yeah, he's
independent
like
or
this.
is he
He's like
past?
the stable. I'm sure he's independent, but I mean he is independent. But I feel like he definitely has some major
I
label
mean,
ties. I don't know.
at
At that
Chance the
level,
Rapper's level, it's
yeah.
like the
Somebody's
label
invested
wants
in
to work
him.
with you. You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah.
But
Uh,
very interesting.
but yeah, so yeah, what I was saying is like basically they realized like why only own publishing when we can also service you and help you get your merchandise and your VIP ticketing services and incorporate that into the deal because you're going to have to go find it somewhere else anyways.
Yeah.
Um, so because of that, there's also still artists who don't. There's labels that don't do all of those things. So that's why we're able to work with artists who are under Warner.
Yeah, nope, that makes perfect sense. And it's look, at the end of the day, it's another revenue stream for Warner. So why even worry about it? You know what I mean? Like you guys can have this. You're able to help this group of people. Now, I'm not sure what this question means in terms of what a fan club is, but we got a question. What is your opinion on fan clubs in music?
What is my opinion on fan clubs in music? Um, I mean, they're the most powerful thing that a artist has.
Do we mean like fan? Like
Yeah.
to the question
I'm
asker,
like one.
any clarification would be much appreciated. I assume fan clubs are, yeah, groups of fans that support the artist.
Yeah. Groups. So I guess I'm thinking of like Taylor Swift Swifties, or like who else has a really big one? Um, like
Believers.
yeah, yeah, Believers, like that. I mean, I guess like it is a good
Yeah.
distinction, because there's fan clubs that are like when you sign up for an email list, like my team at Artist Services, we have a team that manages fan clubs for artists. So that's like when you go on to an artist's website and you have that little pop-up that says
Really?
sign up. You sign up, and that's for the mailing list, but then you can purchase a fan club membership. So you can like go on the website and pay like whatever it is. I don't know exactly what it is, but you can pay a membership fee to be a part of the fan club, where you get exclusive merch offerings, you get exclusive
We got
insight
bronze
into
whale in
the
the house.
tour. So that's like I guess that's like a built out fan club.
Yeah.
Um, but then what I think is even more valuable is just the organic fan clubs, like super fans, which is like the Believers or the Swifties. Like
Yeah.
those are the people who ride or die for you, and when you get backlash in the media, they're attacking whoever said something
Well,
bad
that's,
about
I
you.
feel like that's where the question came from,
Yeah,
which is
yeah.
basically, I mean, look, I mean, at the end of the day, you as an artist, obviously, what you want is a group of people that support you till forever. At the same time, when you get to the level of Swifties who are just going to destroy any human being that there's levels, of course, and we could get into that whole conversation. But I feel like for you as a record label team, to if I may summarize that question, right? So there's like different levels. Like your focus on the e-commerce aspect of merchandise. Obviously, those are the first people to buy those merchandise, and then also in
Hmm.
terms of just the record label as a whole, like if it's a record label artist, like those fans are the people that drive like the highest amount of streams and the sharing of social content, which helps other people discover. So like fan clubs are like the absolute driver of this scene. They say that as an artist, if you had to choose between 1,000, fans or 100 true fans, and they define true fan as like someone that will buy will buy one piece of merch on every merch drop, or will stream every song, and anytime there's a tour in your city, like they'll go. Like every single artist would choose 100 true, maybe even 10 true fans over a
Yeah,
thousand regular fans.
yeah. And I mean, especially in this day and age of like Spotify with so many passive listeners, like that's important, because a
Yeah.
true fan will sit there and listen to your song 100 times, but just one of those 1,000 fans will have you in a playlist or listen to you on New Music Friday and
And
be
won't
like,
know
"Oh, that
who it
was cool,"
is.
and yeah, and I mean, I even find myself doing that, like
And it's no
listening
problem to
to
be
music.
that person.
'Cause, yeah, no, it's fine, but it's the nature of Spotify. It's like you can have a million songs saved and just listen to it straight through, and not even like I have a much harder time recalling songs and artists' names
Yeah.
that I really like
Yeah.
than I used to when I was buying CDs.
Except for Mosey, we're both like 100 true fans of Mosey.
I'm a super fan.
Let's
I'm
go.
a
Let's
super yeah.
go.
I'm not
Oh my
yeah.
god, dude. All right, well, let's shift a little bit. Looking forward at the music industry. What's interesting is in this interview series, I actually looked at it today. I started this in May. So think about where we were in the pandemic in May. It's certainly hasn't been a crazy amount of time, but a lot has changed in terms of how long we expected this to last. So now we're in this situation, looking forward at what you're working on, what you're doing, both inside and outside of your full time. Where do you want to direct your energy moving forward?
Where do I want to direct my personal energy?
I would say, well, I guess I could ask this question in two ways. One way is like from the music industry perspective, where do you see yourself spending your time and working moving forward? But I guess also if you wanted to answer it just like how Ben Marienthal is going to put his effort in, you could answer it that way too.
Yeah. I mean, for the music industry, obviously, we know that live music is going to have a long battle getting back into the swing of things, and who knows what the live music industry scene will be like once we are back. Um, and so I think that because of that, all of the like innovativeness that's come out of this, like you see people like obviously it started with like bedroom live streams and stuff,
Yeah.
but now that's not cutting it anymore. So um, you really have to do like produced streams that are like there's artists who have been we have this artist under oath who like did a full performance at a full week like multiple weekend concert series at a actual venue, and they had full production team, kind of like what Cam did with
Yeah.
his retrospect festival. Like that was fully produced, they had a
Fully
massive
produced.
budget behind that. So I think that like continuing to push that direction is really important. Um, and for me personally, what I like the reason why I am in the music industry and why the reason why I'm so passionate about the music industry is not only because I love music, but it's because of the influence and the positive influence and impact that music can have for individuals and for the whole world.
Yeah.
And I think that what's been really, really cool during this time is seeing how the music industry and how artists have been reacting to the pandemic. Shit, I have to plug in my laptop.
You're good. I'm in the
Um,
same boat. My
all
laptop's in the red right now.
right, well,
So
I'm all plugged in, so you'll be the first to go.
if I just drop
um,
out, I'm sitting
yeah,
outside in nature and it's turned pitch black. So
you look great. You look
oh,
great.
thank you, thank you, thank you.
um, but what was I saying? Yeah, so I think it's been amazing to see how the industry has reacted, like between the pandemic, between the social injustices that we're seeing,
Dude, hell
um,
yes.
and like
There are lots of
obviously
hearts in the
art.
comments after that one.
Where are you seeing these
The
comments? I don't see
Instagram,
any
just
comments.
the hearts that just popped up. I just have a
No,
ton.
I don't. I'm not seeing anything. All right,
Thank
but
you, Ben Pincus.
yeah, and I think that obviously artists have always been really passionate about these things, and they do charity shows, and that's nothing new. I mean, back in the '80s, you had the what was the big one, the Red Cross or the Live
Yeah,
Aid concert. But I think that what I feel like I'm seeing is that the industry is more so making it like a a priority and something that they're going to actually like implement into um their daily
activities.
operations,
And that it
activities. Yeah.
was that the social, just to make sure I understood what you said, was that the social activism you're saying they're making part of their daily, or what exactly?
Yeah. Yeah. Social activism and using their massive
Platform.
influence and their massive platform to drive change.
I
And I think that
Yeah.
that's where I see myself leaning, and I also do see, or that's why I've always wanted to get into the music industry. But that's also where I see the music industry um, kind of leaning moving forward.
Yeah, something that I found myself, I don't want to say surprised, but maybe not fully realizing how big of a focus it was in our pre-interview talk was how much of your events really have been focused on a good cause, and we just talked about that at the beginning of this interview. So I'm not surprised to hear you saying that that is where you want to spend your time. Something that I said when we did our streams was, music is not going to be the single solution to our country's and the world's social issues, but it can help. It can take a step. It is something that has always been something that connects groups of people. And in a world where right now we're finding more reasons to be different from the next person than to be similar. Music has always been something. I mean, look, man, everyone likes music. If you don't like music, I mean, I don't care what type of
That's a whole
music you
nother
like.
set of
I don't
issues
care
that you
what
got.
type of music you like. If you don't like music, I mean, like at all, like even just pop top 40s. If you don't like top 40s, I mean, God Almighty. I mean, shout out all the Tulane kids that love "Closer" by the Chainsmokers, just like me. I mean, that song slaps, but that right there, that's a 30-minute story. But I mean, as we try to avoid my computer dying before this whole thing ends, I think the summary that I would take away from this interview is that for you, this entire, I would say, activism in the music industry has been just that. I mean, using it for good causes for Benny Presents, even, focusing your efforts there moving forward from here. And I even like, for you, although it's not necessarily related to activism, just the genuineness that comes from someone that wants to work a day job and then go to Good Looks Collective and work there till 11 p.m. I mean, my God, dude, good for you.
Yeah, man. I really, I'm glad you recognize that, and I hope that my career continues to take me into the place where I can work with amazing artists and do amazing experiences that also drive change. And I think one last thing I'll add to that is that it's not just that I want to do a good cause. It's also that when you have a genuine interest to do good, I think that in terms of marketing and promoting yourself as an artist or as a brand or whatever it is, it can help you really
It
have
can.
a sustainable career, and it can help you drive a closer connection with your fans.
It can. And I would actually say, although this isn't necessarily an activism channel right here, for us here at Lunar Lounge, the green room is supposed to be a place to engage with fans. And I've really enjoyed reading the comments here. So, I mean, hey, if you've enjoyed the interview and you've enjoyed the conversation, check out Lunar Lounge Presents. That's the Instagram that is streaming right now. We throw electronic music events in the city, and we were in talks with Benny Presents, and then
Yeah.
this whole C word happened, and that kind of ruined everything. But check us out, give us a follow. Ben, this has been awesome. I see, dude. So I don't know if you see it. It's the hearts. It's in the bottom right hand corner of the Instagram. It's just popping
I'm
up.
not.
You
Yeah,
gotta.
yeah. I'm not
Maybe it's
seeing.
because it's my.
It
Maybe it's
might
because
be.
it's
Yeah, it
mine.
might. I think it's yours, but I'm
Um,
sure. I'm glad they're there, and
yeah,
I'm sending all those hearts back, dude. This has been a blast. Like
super
it's
fun.
really cool that you're doing this. So
Super fun.
thank you.
And Ben Pincus clearly is the third star of the show here. He's I mean, he's in the comment section. He told me that he texted me that one of our particular friends, who I will not name, apparently doesn't like music, so I have to text him right after this to ask him a couple of questions. I
Exposed.
just want to talk. I just want to talk. But Ben, this has been awesome. I really enjoyed this conversation, particularly because your experience, while is related to the Good Looks crew for sure, is very related to like stuff that people don't really think about, like record label, e-commerce, merchandise. Like,
Yeah.
who thinks about that? But really great conversation, and I appreciate you joining.
Cool, man. Thanks for having me, and I'll talk to you soon.
Yeah, man, sounds good. Catch you later.